On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, happy business, happy partner, happy life.
Welcome to the Crushing Debt Podcast with your host, Florida attorney Shawn, where our goal is to help you get rid of the financial bullies in your life.
So welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn, owner and founder of Yesner Law. And hello again, George Curbelo, your financial coach.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, I am. And I'm here and happy. What's happening, brother?
So how you doing? What you got going on this week?
So, this time around, Halloween and the holidays and everything, I feel like when we get to this time of year, it's like it's a snowball into Christmas and the new year itself. So very excited. Plays with my kids. So we're kind of doing a lot of that in the next few weeks as well. So very excited. A lot of life things, not just business and work.
Which is partly how we came up with today's topic. I'm already seeing Christmas stuff.
Is it on clearance already? Oh, no. It's
almost. Like I got to go buy my Halloween candy here pretty soon.
So what are you dressing up, you think?
Well, I'm a part of a Gasparilla crew here in Tampa, so it's easy. I got my pirate, my authentic pirate costume. Although I could go as something really scary like a debt collector. I don't know what that would look
lawyer.
Like. Or lawyer. I went to a Halloween party once. It was before I met my wife. I was dating some girl and I went to a Halloween party and there's all these people there. They were all Renaissance people. So they got dressed up in all their Renaissance gear and had Renaissance festivals and all that kind of stuff. And so I show up and I forget what I think I dressed as like a hippie or something. And I get there and there's all the guys were dressed in suits. And this was in the late 90s, like 99, 98, somewhere in that range. And they're all dressed in suits. And a couple of them have like earbuds in, just in one ear. And so I walked up to one and I said, so what are you? And he said, oh, I'm a concerned father.
Okay.
That's it?
Secret Service, maybe?
Well,
that's what
the one with the earbud. What are you? He said, oh, I'm Secret Service.
Okay.
Like, guys, I dress in a suit every day for work. You're not in a Halloween costume. And probably they're looking at me going, well, we dress in Renaissance garbage every day, so we don't want to dress like that for Halloween. Yeah. I didn't date that girl much longer and eventually met my wife. So
there you go. Happy ending, I guess. I'm thinking Ghostbusters. I'm thinking, axe murderer or something like that. But I'm thinking my wife will help me pick it out in whatever is on sale.
So my younger son also wants to be a pirate. And so we've got in January, towards the end of January, is the Kids Gasparilla Parade. Nice. And then the regular Gasparilla Parade. And being a part of the crew, I get to go to the Gasparilla Parade. And my younger son a lot of times comes with me. He loves being on the float and throwing out beads. So I'm thinking I may invest a few dollars and get him a legit kids pirate costume for Halloween if he's going to have to wear it on the float for Kids Gasparilla.
Why not? Why not?
We'll see. It'll be fun. But meanwhile, it kind of leads into the topic that we wanted to talk about today. Before we get there real quick, I do want to mention our sponsors. And so one is Mark Purvis, and I'm trying to alternate, talk about one at the beginning of the show and the other one at the end of the show. Mark Purvis is our editor, makes us sound really, really good. He's got a website called legacyspotlight.com. And at that website, you can sign up to record a video with him. He's a Emmy award-winning videographer, 20 plus years of experience, and you record the stories of your family, and you either record your older generations to pass down to future generations, or you record yourself to pass down to future generations, or preserve the stories of your family. But Mark is a great videographer. He's a great editor. He makes it fun. So go to legacyspotlight.com. All the information is there. And thank you, Mark, for being our editor. So one of the things, George, you and I were talking about, working your business so that you can have a life. Part of the problem when I first started the law firm, I was single. I hadn't met my wife yet. I dumped that other girl, the Renaissance girl. Nicely. Well, she was in South Florida. And so I was like, listen, I got to move to Clearwater to get hundreds of miles away from you. I forget exactly how I phrased it. I don't think it was that.
I hope it was just about football.
It probably was about football.
Miami, let's buy. Okay.
Got a great opportunity to move to Clearwater, and 4 years after that, start my own law firm. Sorry, honey, got to go. So when I first moved to Clearwater, when I first started working my firm, it didn't really matter. I could wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, drive into the office. I could work until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, go out, have dinner, have a drink, meet up with friends, meet up with other single friends, work Saturdays or Sundays, or take the day and, watch it. It didn't matter what I did.
Yep.
Things were kind of in balance. But then as you layer a wife on top of that and you layer kids on top of that, and you and I have talked before about all the nonsense that I have going on in terms of soccer, and we got our first Cub Scout overnight camping trip coming up, and all the other extracurricular stuff I do. So how do you balance your business so that you can have the life you want to have?
That is the question you want to ask out there as well. And I think what's the importance of the balance, first of all? So again, yes, if you have a family, you have people that you care about wanting to spend time with itself. You also talked about think about your health. I mean, when you're young, it's like, I can work 80 hours, no big deal a week. And this is great. You become 40 and 50 and 60. That's not as easy to do. And it definitely takes a toll in regards to stress and anxiety, all the things that seem to be, hitting a lot of people today when it comes to, especially our business owners. It's like, we got to make the money, right? And you got to work hard. Just keep working hard. That seems to be the mantra when it comes to being a business owner.
Yeah. Part of what I said when I started my business is, look, if I crash and burn, who cares? It's just me.
Right.
But now I've got 3 other mouths to feed. And even beyond that, I've got the staff I've got to provide for in terms of generating enough business that I can keep my staff paid, which luckily I've been good enough to do. But you're right. It does kind of take a toll in terms of how do we do it. So for me, the way that I do it, the way that I try to maintain that balance is when I'm here, I'm here.
Right.
And when I'm home, I'm home. Now, sometimes I might say to my wife, listen, I am behind at the office. I've got to go in for a few hours on a Saturday, or I've got to work remotely for a few hours. But I always try to find a way to do it. Like, for example, if my wife and kids are at Sunday school, they're there until about noon on Sundays. So maybe that's the time that I'll work from home, or even maybe shoot into the office real quick on a Sunday when I'm not necessarily taking time away from them because they're doing other stuff.
They're busy as well.
But things like this weekend, this weekend we're doing my son's birthday party and my mom's coming into town. Well, I'm sorry for all of my clients.
Right.
I ain't bringing anything home with me, and I'm not logging in remotely, and I'm probably not looking at my emails on my cell phone.
That's the other thing too. It's like, what do you value at that moment as well? So thinking about focus is one thing, but for me, it's like you value the time you have with your parents and your kids. I get it. The business is important in order to make money. I get all those kind of things, but you have to have the importance of being to say, oh, okay, I want to spend time with these individuals, because we always take for granted that there's another tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow, it'll be tomorrow and tomorrow. We can say the same thing about our business in regards to those well, maybe we can, unless it's not doing so well. You have to think about those things too. But I think I love the fact of focus on work, focus on family. I mean, I think they said today, statistically, people who have dinner as a family itself. I mean, I think right now it's like 1 or 2 days a week, if you're lucky, that the entire family is actually having dinner itself. And I think that says a lot in regards to, I mean, again, unless you're eating dinner at 4 or 5 o'clock, that's a different thing itself. But
well, and even so, thinking about that, so this week, Monday, we did eat dinner as a family. Soccer practice was canceled because we had just finished a soccer tournament the Saturday, Sunday prior. But otherwise, Monday, we would have not been able to eat as a family because I would have had to take my older son to soccer practice.
Right.
Tuesday, I had to take my younger son to his Cub Scout den meeting, so we couldn't eat together on Tuesday. Wednesday, both boys had their own practice, one soccer, one flag football, so we couldn't eat together on Wednesday. Last night, I had the West Chase board meeting, the homeowner association board meeting, so I couldn't eat with them last night. I think tonight is really the first night, and then tomorrow and Sunday that we'll be able to get together as a family, now that you mention it.
Yeah. Okay. What do you value? So, of course, birthday's coming up. Your focus is going to be there, and that's what you want to have in regards to, just that family time. And I get it. We got to work hard. We have to, the business, you're not having a livelihood,
right?
If you don't put the hard work in. I totally get that. But does it mean, though, working 80 hours, 60, 80 hours a week itself, maybe when you're starting up? But I think a lot of times, a lot of people, again, productivity, like how effective, you are with your time. and being efficient with what works for your business. So is it buying the widgets? Is it selling the widgets? Is having group coaching rather than one-on-ones? You have to be more efficient with your time itself to be able to, again, make the money that's necessary so you're not having to work as many hours during the week.
Well, and I think one thing that goes along with that is figuring out when you are at your most productive.
Yep.
So my wife and I are pretty opposite. I am most productive first thing when I wake up in the morning. I have my alarm on the other side of the room. So when the alarm goes off, I have to get out of bed to turn it off. And once I'm up and out of bed, I'm up and out of bed. And so I am most alert, most awake, most focused in the morning. My wife is the total opposite. It takes, I could put my drum set in there and play, and she probably wouldn't wake up. She would wake up and then she'd roll back over and go to sleep.
That sounds like my wife. It's love you, honey, but it's like morning person. It takes like 25 minutes just to get out of bed. It's like, holy moly.
It's funny. I'll wait. So my younger son is a lot like me in terms of once he's up, he's up.
Right.
My older son is a lot like her. The problem is so the boys will wake up and I'll say, hey, why don't you go wake up mommy? And then I'll go walking into the bedroom like 5 minutes later and they're asleep in bed with her.
That's a great idea, Dad. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. Great idea. But my wife is the total polar opposite. At night is when she's at her most productive. Right. And so, she'll be washing dishes, she'll be cleaning up, she'll be doing her work, she'll be doing homework. And I'm literally falling asleep on the couch just because my energy is sapped by the time I get to the end of the day. But she's the total opposite. And so what we've tried to do in our house is take advantage of that. So I don't mind being the one in the morning to get the boys up and ready for school and even getting my wife up and ready and out for work because I can do that. I've got everything set up and I can pack up the lunches and I can make the breakfast and I can do all that. But then when we get to nighttime, it takes me a little bit longer to get motivated to.
She has to tell you like 3, 4, 5 times.
Yeah, probably. And there's some times where she tells me 3, 4, 5 times and then just says, forget it. I'll do it myself. Sometimes I may be actually asleep and sometimes I may be, quote, asleep.
Quote, just maybe.
It's okay.
Good acting. He wins an Emmy once.
One of these days, my wife will listen to this show too. And I'll be so busted. I will be so busted when she does.
So, I mean, again, managing time is important. We know that for our business owners, it's also managing the tasks. So if you're more productive in the morning, is that the right time to do networking and probably marketing? That's probably the one thing you want to do. Some of the things that you don't like doing for the business itself, maybe we can manage those at the end of the day. Something that needs your focus, whatever your productive time of the day is, that's what you should be doing. So is that Monday? Because I just learned today, Tuesdays is the most productive day of the week.
Huh. I had no idea.
I don't know where the source is, but I heard that in one of my network meetings. Tuesdays. Gotcha.
Have you ever read, I think it's Brian Tracy wrote the book, Eat That Frog.
Okay. Yes.
Have you ever read that book?
Yes.
That was one of the most influential books that I ever read. And it's a very short book. It's a very quick read. I love Brian Tracy. Mm-hmm. I love reading Brian Tracy stuff. For those of you that haven't read it, the concept of the book is, eating a frog is not a very desirable thing to do.
Doesn't sound great.
But if you do it first thing in the morning and you get it out of the way, the rest of your day is easy. I have trouble swallowing pills. So I swallow the biggest ones first. And then, and they get smaller because once I get that big one down, the smaller ones are easier to get down. So, one of the things you said was save the hard stuff for the end of the day. Since I'm most alert at the beginning of the day, I try to knock out the hardest stuff at the very beginning of the day.
I like it.
And then that way, if I have some easy task that I can knock out, let me do that when my energy level's at its lowest.
Nice. Very good.
Which for me happens to be at the end of the day.
At the end of the day itself. That makes total sense.
So yeah, Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog is a great book. And I'm not an affiliate, so I don't get anything if you guys go and check it out and buy it.
But if you'd like to join, that's fine. Patreon.
Yeah. There you go. Maybe that's what we do. Anyone who joins Patreon, will buy them a copy of Eat That Frog.
I like that. And a free copy of the Crushing Debt book.
And
fine author.
I talked to somebody today so the Become Debt Free book is only available on Amazon. And I think it's not Audible, but I did an audio version of Become Debt Free.
Nice.
But I just talked to a buddy of mine today. I think I'm going to turn Become Debt Free into a physical book. He's got to do the front cover with the spine and the back cover. And once all that's done, I'll upload it. And so, yeah, I do plan here pretty soon to order physical copies of Crushing Debt and Become Debt Free that I can. You know what else I was thinking too? I created a workbook with Become Debt Free.
Nice.
I may email it to you and let you take a look at it. It's all about mindset. So the whole workbook is all about developing a mindset to become debt free. So, if you want to check that out, I've always had forever. It's ShawnMYesner.com/become debt free. And that'll sign you up for a free PDF download of the book. And then there's options there. You can get the workbook. You can get the audio version of the book. You'll sign up and get free announcements when the podcast comes out, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's ShawnMYesner.com/become debt free. Or maybe we'll do something with Patreon where we'll put.
Well, I'm thinking if
Patreon.
Just to motivate the listeners as well. Hey, submit a question about business, about personal, about money, debt itself, and we'll send you an express copy.
There you go.
With maybe a nice signature from the host.
That costs extra. That costs $0 extra.
I like it. All right. Well, so should we get back on track? What are we talking about again? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So the other thing I've learned when it comes to business, guys, is, the one thing is like, are we charging enough too? That's the other thing too. So again, at the beginning, we put out a price. This is what I think the services, the inventory, this kind of thing. This is what I think I need for sales to be able to make money, make a profit. How many times do we revisit that topic?
So I do tend to track. I do have a pretty comprehensive tracking system. And so I can tell you this year, brand new people that have hired me, not repeat clients, not, there's some other types of clients that give me some recurring revenue, but just brand new clients. I can tell you what my average retainer is.
Nice.
And if I see that that's, lower than I want it to be, I can kick up my prices to kind of adjust. One of the things that I did a lot of work on in the last couple of months was what makes me unique. It's not service. It's not that I provide good customer service.
It's because he's handsome.
That's you go. I shaved, by the way.
He did.
I did shave.
The video does show that. We have evidence.
So it's not that I do strive to provide customer service. Let me be clear on that. I do strive to provide good customer service, but everybody should.
Everybody.
In other words, providing good customer service shouldn't set you apart. We should all be striving to provide good customer service. Price is not something that sets you apart, because if you do say, what sets me apart is the price that I charge, somebody's always going to undercut you. The fact that I educate my clients does not set me apart, because some of my clients don't want to be educated. They just want to know what's the answer and can you get me there? So when you think about what makes you unique, I mean, for me, Yesner Law has created a guarantee. So it's the things that I already do that I'm going to guarantee I will continue to do for my clients. It's not a guarantee that I will win your case or not. It's not a guarantee that I will save you some specific amount of money. It's a guarantee that I'll email you or call you back within a certain period of time. It's a guarantee that I'll give you a free consultation at the initial outset. It's a guarantee that you and I will discuss pricing and it'll be on a flat fee basis. It's those types of things.
Right.
What else sets you apart in your business?
Yeah, and the value is, again, the value I bring to the customers as well, because you have to understand there is so much information out there already about debt and debt, reduction and credit score and buy this and invest this, and a great podcast like this one that is going to give you that information as well.
Best podcast out there,
number one
topic.
Doesn't matter. So
in a poll that I just created.
And there's 2 votes. So think about it like that. So for me, what sets me apart is it's the behaviors, it's the intention, it's the accountability. What can I do for my clients itself to ensure that, hey, what you learned on the internet, what we learned together in regards to the particular topic, that you're actually going to put it into action. Guys, we know we have to save, right? Guys, business, we have to have cash flow. We're supposed to separate the accounts itself. What makes us not do it? It's the habits, it's the behaviors. For me, that's what I pride myself in being different as a coach and as a business owner itself. It's really helping you change and empower and give you what's necessary and needed to be able to make those things a reality. It's great to have a wish, but I want to put something in place that it can make those things a reality.
Yeah. One of the other things that I like to think about in terms of business is not necessarily budgeting. I mean, if I do budget for the business, but more so the trends. So for example, we're in October as we record this, as we release this episode will be in October, but I know that the closer we get to Thanksgiving, the less people want to think about debt. They want to think about debt in terms of what Christmas presents.
Well, what am I going to create more debt, right?
What am I going to buy? What present am I going to get?
Exactly.
But they don't want to think about bankruptcy. They don't want to think about foreclosure. They don't want to think about debt settlement. So November, December tend to be my slowest months. And then things pick up in January. And then ironically, things really pick up February, March, April when people start getting their tax refunds back. Because then instead of paying me on an installment, they got money to pay me in full. If you're in a business that provides DJ services or party services, well, probably December is your Super Bowl with all the holiday parties and all that stuff going on.
I would say May and June too for the weddings and all of that too. There you go.
If you're a florist, Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
But if you're me that focuses on getting rid of debt, November, December tend to be slow because people don't want to think about that type of stuff. Family law attorneys, people don't want to think about divorce over the holidays. But when
they'll be of the result of the holidays.
When January comes, divorces pick up.
Right.
Because we got through the holidays, we did it for the family. Now let's think. So from a personal perspective, I'm talking about what are those trends in your personal life? But from a business perspective, do you have times and months in your business that you know are going to be slower than others? And you can account for those. And you can say, okay, well, I did well in June and July, so I'm going to take some of that money and I'm going to hold it back because I know I'm going to have a slow month in November and December.
Yeah. And that's having that hill and valley kind of account that allows for you to be, have the cash flow when you have those low months for the business as well as personal. Again, if your business is paying you a salary, it's important that the business pays you on the low months.
Right.
And that's the important part itself. And I think a lot of folks tend to forget, like, oh, I'll just keep making good money and I'm always going to make good money itself. And some of us are lucky enough to be that. But when those trends, realtors, right, they go through that kind of up and down. Comedians, entertainers, you'll have your hot streaks and you won't have so putting things in place, having that balance back to say, like, I need to prepare for when it's not as good, allows you to not stress so much where it's like, holy cow, it's a low month. How am I going to eat or how am I going to pay something? And I think that's what we need. Again, it's always preparing ourselves for those moments.
Yeah. I remember before I learned that lesson and when I first started hiring staff, I got to December and I could barely make payroll, but I wanted to give my staff a Christmas bonus and I couldn't afford to do it. Luckily, I had a client come in right at the middle of December, that first or second year. And hopefully, what's the statute of limitations to the IRS? But I had a client come in and pay cash. And I was like, sweet. And so I took the cash, handed out a few bucks to every employee and said, here's your Christmas bonus. Just because I hadn't planned on December being a slow month. And I suddenly found myself stuck where I couldn't potentially provide Christmas bonuses.
And the other thing you did in that, which is a lesson, is guys, learn from our mistakes, from our failures itself. Now, it's not a bad thing that, okay, you went through it, understood, like, I need to prepare for it, made the adjustments necessary so it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
I know life tells us it's so easy, right? It's like, guys, we have to listen to our, to life, teaching us, giving us lessons that allows us to kind of like, okay, need to be aware, hey, COVID could happen. You got a lot of restaurant owners that were just not prepared for such an event like this. This is what we need to do to make sure, like, hey, I'm ready in case something like this happens.
Yeah, man. COVID was March of 2020. We're now November of 2022. I spoke to a lady yesterday or the day before who shut down her business because of COVID, and we're 2 years beyond it. She couldn't salvage it from that hit 2.5 years ago.
Right. And that's it. The lessons we have. How do we pivot? What are the trends? What's happening? Like, we have to listen to the market. We have to listen to the clients and just make the adjustments necessary from a business model, a business plan. And of course, what we do with our finances.
Well, and at the same time, again, I'll use myself since I know November and December are slow months. In August and September and October, I'm busy setting up meetings with referral partners, meetings with other people in my industry, meetings with people that I can give and get referrals from.
Right.
Those ramp up in July, August, September, so that hopefully those referrals come in November and December when it's a slower month. And so, what are the trends in your business and what can you do in the months leading up to those trends so that you don't get to the bad month and say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? 3 months prior to that bad month, you're saying, okay, I'm going to set it up so that it's no longer a bad month, whether that's by saving money, whether that's by increasing referral partners, whether it's increasing social media, SEO, blogs, podcasts, whatever it is. How can you position yourself? What's the other one? Dig your well before you're thirsty.
Yeah, you go.
Something like that.
Something like that. I like it. If it was, it's very nice original there, my friend.
It's
Good.
not an original. I've heard that somewhere before. So I don't remember if it's a book or if it's a saying, or maybe I'll look that up.
He'll look it up.
I'll
put in the notes.
So one other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, sort of along these same lines, you remember our friend Tiffany Kellogg.
Love her.
She's been on the show a bunch of times. She was on the show with me and George. Tiffany is coordinating a summit. It's called More Money, More Time, More Fun Summit. It's going to be December 9 of 2022. So if you're listening to this podcast anytime before December 9 of 2022, you are welcome to sign up. You can do it at bit.ly, bit.ly/more summit. You go to bit.ly/more summit. You can sign up for the More Money, More Time, More Fun Summit. Now, if it asks you how you heard about it, we would love it if you would put in the Crushing Debt podcast or put in my name, or heck, even put in George's name.
Sure.
But tickets do start at like $9 is the base level ticket. They go way up from there. But there's some really cool speakers coming. So Tiffany Kellogg's going to be one of the speakers. Jason Avery, who you've heard on my show a bunch of times in the past, he's going to be one of the speakers. Dr. Ivan Meisner, who is founded BNI, founded Ascentive, is often called the father of modern networking. He's going to be one of the speakers. Mike Michalowicz, who's been on my show before and who wrote Profit First and Fix This Next,
that's
and
a good
Pumpkin
one.
Plan, and a bunch of great business books. Mike Michalowicz is going to be at the summit. It's an all-day summit. It's from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is online. So wherever you are listening to this, you can sign up for the summit, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. So depending on where you are, you may have to adjust for Eastern time. I am talking in the afternoon, and my subject is going to be about more money. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of these topics. How do we create more money, either by creating revenue or in my case, by decreasing debt? That's what I'm going to be talking about. But there's going to be presentations. There's going to be opportunities to network. There's going to be masterminds and breakout sessions. And so if you really want to get yourself set up to make more money in less time and have more fun, put the summit on December 9th in your calendar. Again, bit.ly/more summit. And I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to register. Like I said, the base ticket starts at $9. $9 on December 9. I think that's also the week before my birthday.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, $9, December 9, more money, more time, so you can have more fun, which is really what this whole episode is about. How do we balance business and life so that we can have a good time?
I like it. I think we had a few tips here. Be productive. Find the time of the day that you're productive. That sounds pretty good from there. Manage your time. Manage your prices and what your costs are regarding your, and of course, budget, guys, and save your money and
manage your priorities.
I like. So there was a lot of good focus there. And of course, please spend some time the dinner. Focus. No, again, our rule, no phones at the table.
You and your wife still do date nights?
Yes. Well, we have to because
she says so.
Because she said that's a great comment. That was about to come out, and yet the man cut me off. I love that. That's good. My kids are older, so it's very important because we're going to be empty nesters soon. So it's like we don't want to be like who's this lady I've been living with. You know
what we need to do? We need to recruit your kid to babysit my kids.
There you go. We
can do a double date night.
I don't. Okay, that's been signed up already. Done. Done and done.
We can't give your wife my wife's number, or she'll probably make it happen. Yeah, no, I think we do that too. We either have kids or we have grandma and papa who come out. My in-laws live close by, so we do regular date nights as well.
It's important, guys. Please don't have the regrets that you didn't spend enough time with family after the fact. Make the things happen each day. So,
which would also be a good reason to go see Mark over at legacyspotlight.com. That way you can preserve all that stuff.
I like it.
However, I also want to talk about our other sponsor, Sam Cohen of Attorneys First Insurance. And he's been with us almost as long as Mark. I think Mark's been with us since the very, very beginning as the editor. Sam's been with us almost as long. He does errors and omissions or malpractice insurance for attorneys and title companies all over the country. So if you are an attorney or own a title company, if you know an attorney or you know a title company, definitely connect them with Sam. It's attorneysfirst.com. He can give them an apples to apples comparison of what kind of insurance they got now versus what he can offer. If he can't beat it, he will be honest and tell them he can't beat it and they should stick with what they got. And he can also get coverage in situations where maybe there has been a mistake in the past and there has been a claim in the past. So again, Sam at attorneysfirst.com or attorneysfirst.com. But I think we're pretty much at the end. Yes, George?
I think so too, sir. It's always a pleasure talking to you about balance in life and money, my friend.
Balance in life and money. Happy business, happy partner, happy life.
Let's do it.
So we do hope that at the end of the month you have more money rather than at the end of the money you have more month. I think that'll do it for this week's episode. And we will talk to you in next week's episode of the Crushing Debt podcast.
If you have questions that you think would make a great topic for a future episode, please email Shawn or connect with us on social media. Shawn Yesner and Yesner Law, PL, are Florida licensed attorneys. The information contained in this week's episode is not a substitute for legal advice. Your situation may differ, especially if you are located somewhere other than the state of Florida. If you have questions, please contact our office or contact a local attorney. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.